Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Raw Report, episode 7. I am your host, Jerry, with my co-host X and Santana. We're here live, ready to discuss the latest fantasy football speculations. We have a jam-packed show for you guys. We're here to discuss the Watson suspension, what that means for the Cleveland Browns moving forward. What can Baker Mayfield do out there in Carolina? And we have an interesting story about Jon Garden nixing a trade or I guess a signing for Tom Brady and Gronk. And Gronk confirmed this story, and it was first broken by Dana White. And we'll also be discussing top 5 quarterbacks that are on the hot seat in the 2022 seasons and what they got to do to prevent that from happening. So without further ado, guys, let's just jump into it. What do you guys think about DeShawn Watson suspension, man?
It's not the gauntlet. It's none of that. It's a little 11 games is a lot. It's more than half the season. We got to talk about more than just DeShawn Watson. We can talk about how this affects the whole Browns and their players. And when you take them in the draft, this implicates a lot.
Yeah, let's see what happens to that situation in Cleveland. I know DeShawn Watson being suspended 11 games is quite lengthy, being that he didn't play last year as well. To me, it sounds like last year was 17 plus 16. It looks like a 33-game suspension, honestly. So he missed 2 seasons already out of this, and even if they're, let's say, 6-6 or 7-6, 6-7, he'll try to get back, and maybe he can lead them into the playoffs if they can win 5 straight at the end of the year, which it seems impossible. But he's one of those players that you put him in the mix, that he's ready to ball at any given moment. He's one of those special players we got in the league. It sucks to see him in this type of situation. You know what I mean? You want to give respect to all the parties, but at the same time, he's one of those players that, he's electric. And when he's on the field, he's one of those guys you have to look after. It impacts them in a way where they're going to have to run the ball more. I see Nick Chubb being in the mix more. Maybe they keep Kareem Hunt, and we've heard some trade rumors around him as well. But I think they're going to keep him. They're going to end up just running the ball a lot more, in my assumption. And you want to see him get back on the field sooner rather than later. But 11 games seems about right, and I think they'll take that penalty.
Yeah, I think that seeing as if after he serves the 11-game suspension, he's going to end up coming back in week 13. And as you mentioned, I think if the Cleveland Browns can somehow win a few ball games until his suspension is over and he comes back in that week 13, they can make a playoff push. But in my opinion, I think that's going to be a long road. I think it's going to be damn near impossible. He might do very well when he come back, but I'm not sure that the Browns can hold up. I don't think they have anything. They have Jacoby Brissett as the backup here, and there's rumors about them going to get Jimmy G from San Francisco, but there's no truth to that. So it's unfortunate. Right. I think it affects Amari Cooper in the wide receiver rankings drastically here, because who's throwing him the ball now? Is he draftable? I mean, I think he falls in our list definitely a couple of paces, because his future is uncertain as to who's going to be the starting quarterback in Cleveland.
Okay, I have a lot to unpack here. As a Dolphin fan last year, after the Bills completely knocked Tua out of the game, and for a couple games as well, we had in Jacoby Brissett, and he had a good run with the Colts. I think he even led him into the playoffs one year. So I had confidence in him as a backup. I'm like, okay, you can't, he's top 5 backups in the league. This man didn't come through for us. Really, it's more of a floor general, can't push the ball down, needs a really good defense around him. That he's lucky he has in Cleveland. Cleveland is no pushover team. All right. Let's not forget they got Myles Garrett. They have a really good line, great secondary. It's just the quarterback in question. Amari Cooper does drop. Great point, Jerry. He does drop. But Jacoby Brissett might give them a little bit more struggles than what I can imagine. 11 games is a lot, guys. I don't know if DeShawn Watson has it in him to come and save a sinking ship. They may not be in that position, but I feel like because of Jacoby Brissett's ineffectiveness, Don't get me wrong. He's an NFL player for a reason, but he's not consistent. And because of that, Mari Cooper has to drop drastically. Now, stock rise in this. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt may not get his wish about being traded, but he's gonna get the rock. He's gonna get he's gonna have the opportunity to showcase his talents to whatever team that may want to trade for him. Nick Chubb is only gonna go up because Jacoby Brissett, all he did last year when his first and second option wasn't available, he threw it down to Myles Gaskin. So that's what Nick Chubb is gonna get. When they're not calling running plays, there's a very good chance Nick Chubb is gonna get that ball in a dump off. Nick Chubb stock rising up. Kareem Hunt stock rising up. Cooper, that's going down. Bad. And is DeShawn Watson even draftable? I know people were maybe thinking about it, maybe ready to gamble it when he was only suggested to miss 6 games, but 11? How early do you take a waiver on him?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I understand. I think Brissett, he got that job now. I think he can, try to make something out of the season. I don't know if they're going to be in the playoffs. They, especially being in that division, it's a tough division. You got the Ravens, you got the Bengals. I don't see them making the playoffs by any stretch. Maybe they can make a run, but that's only if they're 7-6 or 8-5 or something, and we don't see them doing that, at least not this year. So I think Brissett got that job because he only had a few games with the Dolphins last year. I think he played 5 games. I know he averaged I think he averaged like 250 yards a game passing. And I think that's why he got this job, because he was passing the ball a little bit. Even if he wasn't completing the ball, they figured maybe get some new scenery around him, put some weapons around him, give him some running backs. Maybe he can make something out of nothing. We know him as Andrew Luck's backup. He was Andrew Luck's backup for a while. Then he got thrown into the fire. He kept getting hurt. Now he's bounced around a little bit. And I think, if he falls into the right offense, he can be a great tool for a decent team. But this is really, one of those seasons that he has to really turn it around if he's going to do that.
I don't believe in him. I don't believe in Jacoby Brissett. He let the winless Jacksonville Jaguars beat us in London. He let the 1-4 Falcons get a dub at home. He let the 1-5 Colts also get a dub versus us. I don't believe in Jacoby Brissett. Cleveland's in for a long, long season, especially with their star player being out. Like I said, I'm not a fan of that, but it has more implications than that. Running back stock up, Cooper down.
I think that you're completely right about that. They need to get a few wins for as long as DeShawn Watson is going to be out. And looking at their schedule, I think they're only going to be able to win against the Jets. They got to win against the Falcons. They got to win against New England. But aside from that, I don't see them beating Miami or Buffalo or Baltimore or the Chargers. And then as soon as DeShawn comes back, he's gonna see the Texans, and then right after he's gonna run into Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's gonna be very tough. God. And the rest of the schedule doesn't look too great either. They play Washington, they play New Orleans. So
bring up the schedule. Cleveland's gonna lose their first game because Baker Mayfield was just announced starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, but that's the first game of the season. You still have the rest of the season to go, and the schedule is not in their favor for the time being. Okay,
let's do a prediction. Let's do an 11-game prediction. All the games that Watson is going to miss. Let's go. Let's do a quick wild card round.
You got Carolina, which you're going to lose, in my opinion.
That's a revenge game. Okay,
the Jets.
Okay, they're going to win that. The Jets.
Then they got Pittsburgh, which they got a QB uncertainty out there.
Rivalry game. On the 2-2 so far.
All right, and then you got the Chargers, and then the Patriots.
2-3, 2-4.
Got a tough schedule, man. They get the best of the AFC. Really, it's really what it looks like.
And then they get Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Yeah,
this is back-to-back losses in my book.
Yeah, they got the Bengals. Then they got the Bucks, the Bills, the Bengals again. Let's not forget the Ravens again, the Saints. It's not looking like a good schedule this year.
Yeah, it's not looking good in their favor.
Yeah, yeah.
Three
And we
wins.
know, they don't have a good quarterback, but yet the Steelers with Mike Tomlin, that's they're at least splitting that at the worst. That's 1-1. You
That's
can't.
1-1.
Yeah,
They're getting swept by Cincinnati.
right.
The Ravens 1-1. Miles Garrett loves to hunt Lamar Jackson, so that could be a 1-1 right there. I see 4 to 5 wins max in those 11 games that Watson's going to lose. In a hard AFC, in a really tough AFC where the AFC West can possibly send all 4 teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them, brother.
It's not looking good for the Browns. It looks like a lost year.
Yeah, so Baker was just named the starting quarterback over there at the Carolina Panthers. So that's going to be a good, interesting start for him, a fresh start. He's going to have a lot of redemption in him. But looking at their schedule, man, it might go half and half. It's not looking too good. It's looking very difficult from what I'm seeing here. Especially the first 10 to 12 games. They're not really facing easy teams. They're facing the creme de la creme out here.
All right, go ahead. Call him out.
Going down the list, you got the Cleveland Browns, which for sure I'm expecting Baker to come through and they're going to get a W there. And then they got your New York Giants in week 2, X.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's where, on the road or at home?
That's going to be on the road.
On New York? Oh.
For sure. I'm expecting Daniel Dimes and Saquon to do some work out there.
Talking about the Panthers?
The Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. Talking about Baker.
Good. They just named Baker Mayfield, of course, the starter. Congrats to him. I'm happy for him. However, if he's a starter, they're not winning more than like 6 or 7 games. Like, that team is going to be bad, and they're not going to win more than 6 or 7 games, and that's pretty much it. Like, we know what he is in the league. We know what he is, and he's not that guy. He's not him. So they're going to be.
And they have a very difficult schedule. So aside from the first 3 games, then they face Arizona, San Francisco, the Rams, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Atlanta again, Baltimore, and Denver. So that's like a star-studded lineup there, man.
So they have
facing every top quarterback in the league.
Ooh, damn, Baker might lose that Hulu endorsement deal. I don't know.
State Farm, Hulu, all that shit.
Look. I have a hot take. I'm saying that we see Oklahoma Baker for half the season. There's going to be some Baker magic out there. Let's not forget he's in the NFC South now, and that's a sorry division. It's a sorry division. Let's be honest. The Falcons, not a good team. The Panthers, mediocre team. All right, it's the Bucks. It's the Bucks division to lose, and the Saints. The Saints are okay. We just got to see how far the Saints go as far as Jameis goes. Let's be real. Jameis is the engine of that team. He is the wild card. That is the wild card. And actually, the wild card team is the Panthers, because you don't know. Baker might get some magic and might take the Panthers on a little ride, or it's 50-50. Because I feel like he's not a full season-like quarterback. I feel like he's a magic in the moment type of quarterback. He's going to get some of that magic back because he was discarded like the girl you don't want. Terrible ex-girlfriend. Discarded him. So let's see how that goes. I feel like that's my hot take. Baker's going to have a good half of the season. I was going to say in the beginning, and it's going to fizzle out.
Well, yeah, you could do that magic in college, but in the NFL, you only have a few seconds to get rid of the ball. So that magic is really getting minimalized so much. Like, you're not going to be running around the pocket and throwing the ball. Like, you're going to get crushed.
But he went to the playoffs with the Browns.
I know, but he's a tough kid, and he's a tough quarterback. And the way he plays, he takes it off for a first down or something. He'll get hit hard on the sack, and we know he's injury prone.
You're right. He's reckless.
It's like, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's a good quarterback, but yet he'll get hurt some way, somehow. And it's like, it's unfortunate. But, last year, I remember a few plays, I thought he was knocked out for the year. I think J.J. Watt hurt him early in the year against the Cardinals. I think he got hurt a few times versus the Browns one game. And I think Myles Garrett was getting after him. I think he tore his rotator cuff that game or something. Like, he had a tough year. I'm not just saying he has no skills, but he's he's one of those guys. He wants to fight for it all, and he reminds me of like Ryan Fitzpatrick almost. But he's gonna sling it out eventually, but he's gonna he's not gonna lead you far, in my opinion.
I mean, let's not pretend like he doesn't have a pretty decent team. I mean, he has Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Rashard Higgins. They have Chuba Hubbard, which is a good backup to McCaffrey. So he has a pretty decent offense to begin with.
It's their defense, bro. Their defense is ass.
The defense is not great, but if they put it off, they put up enough points. I mean, or maybe they could be a 2 QB system. You guys never know. I mean, maybe they use Baker for the first 3 downs and Sam Darnold for the fourth. Something wacky like that. You know what I mean? But I'm not expecting much from Baker. I'm expecting a lot of the same of what he did in Cleveland. And for that reason, I don't think he's going to do very good.
What are we getting into? Are we getting into that hot take from Gruden or what?
Oh, I heard about that story with the Raiders, Tom Brady and Gronk.
Bro, that would have been all. That would have altered the league entirely. Brady, Gronk to the Raiders in Vegas. No Tampa Super Bowl, no Tampa run. You think he has the same success without Godwin, without Evans?
Perhaps, man, but I just don't know, what their plan was going to be to get rid of Carr's contract. I don't know who would have taken that on, being that, he had a big contract at the time. I do know if it would have happened, if it would have came into fruition, I think they could have probably went to the Super Bowl and won themselves, even in the AFC. Or if not, at least gave Patty and the Chiefs a run for their money. That team would have been stacked. They still would have had Antonio Brown, I believe.
Ooh, I didn't think about that. Patty and Brady in the same division?
Yeah, that would have been a great showdown in the
That shit went over my head. Oh,
the conference. So I think that's a great what if story. But being that we know he went to Tampa and won the Super Bowl, it's fine just the way it had played out. I think it's fine the way it happened.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, I think Jon Gruden has a big time problem with, maybe having somebody bigger than him on a team. We know how Jon Gruden does with his QB camp. He's been used to the spotlight for so many years as a coach and as a TV analyst. I don't think he could have taken that. And I think, as Santana mentioned here, it's probably part of an old rivalry from the early 2000s that, he can't live down. But we're talking about Tom Brady here, is the greatest of all time, 7 rings. I mean, Vegas right now, the streets would be painted gold if that would have happened. You have Gronk, you would have had a 2 tight end system like he did with Aaron Hernandez, all right?
Oh, my God.
And with Gronk and Darren Waller taking over, it would have been spectacular, dude. So it's a shame. I just think, Gruden was drinking that haterade, son. And he said, you know what? I don't want anything from Brady. But Brady came and just stunted on them. He's been stunting on them for years now. So, you don't reject Tom Brady and think he's not going to take it personal. So, it's a shame to see, man. I would have loved to, I'm big on Vegas. I would have loved to see Jon Gruden and Tom Brady winning a ring out there.
He's hurt, bro. Gruden is still butthurt about that Tuckwood game from 2001. Can't get over it. How do you say no to Gronk and Brady? I would have been like, give me that. I'll get 2 rings easy, back to back. No hesitation. Oh my God, Waller and Gronk
was his guy. He made a promise to Carr, and he thought he was going to be the guy that could help him do it for the future. I guess he saw Brady as like an old fart, and he think he that can come into fruition. A lot of teams wouldn't have taken a 42-year-old quarterback.
I mean, it's not just any 42-year-old quarterback. It's Tom Brady.
Exactly.
For you to pick Derek Carr over Tom Brady, I mean.
Brett Favre also went to the Vikings, and then he went to the Jets, and the Jets were still trying to get him. Brett Favre. Team that Brady was blessed with the Bucks.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about it right now. All players. So let's say LeBron comes out saying right now, I want to go to the Knicks. You're not taking 37-year-old LeBron James?
Of course. But that's
Brady's the LeBron of the NFL.
Here with the Patriots, he lost to Tennessee in the first playoff game. They got ran over by Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? Like he didn't look good. So a lot of teams wouldn't have taken the chance or paid a high price for a 42, 43-year-old quarterback at that time. You know, he just turned 45. We're figuring out he's father time. Like, he's winning that battle, clearly. You
Bro,
know,
so nasty. So nasty.
quarterback has ever lasted this long, especially with that playing style. The rules being the way they are, it's allowed him to extend his career. You know, he throws a lot of short passes, a lot of checkdowns. That's his style. You know, it works well with what he's doing, which is, lengthening his career. He has that longevity. A lot of players don't have that. And he's the first quarterback to really do it. He's 45. No one's ever passed 42 or 43.
I feel like this season, more so than some in recent memory, there's a lot of really good starting quarterbacks on the hot seat. We should definitely talk about it.
Yeah, I think
I don't want to say very good. I want to say very good. I want to say pretty decent enough to be in the NFL and as a starting QB.
Yeah, they're on the hot seat.
Okay.
If you're on the hot seat, that just means you have expectations. You know, we were expecting something from you that you're not. We need something. We're not going to put a bad quarterback on the hot seat because we know what we're going to get from you. You're a bad quarterback. You know, I'm not putting Sam Darnold on the hot seat. You're a bad quarterback. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Me, I think one of the guys on the hot seat, you could say he's a bad quarterback. He's had some injuries. He's had some turnover issues. But he shows something that the New York Giants like. So I'm going to go with Daniel Jones as one of the hot He is in such a weird position in the NFL. I feel like I've said it before. I'll say it again. They declined his fifth-year option. What does that mean? Do they really feel like he can be a top 10 quarterback if he has an MVP type season and they're going to pay him? Like, is he really going to have that type of year? I don't see it.
However, highly doubtful.
Yeah, highly
doubtful. Talk about it.
They can stay healthy and they can get some type of production from their defense. Saquon can stay healthy. They'll get some receiver production that'll be consistent for once. You know, if all goes well, Daniel Jones can get paid next year. You know, this is what I've been saying. I've been reiterating it. And I think he's on the hot seat, being that he has a lot to lose if he doesn't play well. You know, if he doesn't play, he's going to be a career backup quarterback. And this is his best opportunity to move forward as the face of the franchise for the New York Giants.
I agree with you. That's a good name. It's a professional slap to the face to not have your last year picked up as the starting quarterback of your franchise. And I'm sure Daniel is aware of that. And he knows he has to show out this year. He has to. It's either that or he's going to go into the free agent carousel that is a low bottom career. And you made very good points. You hit it right in the nail on all of them. He has some weapons around him, but that's been the case for the last 2 years. And in New York, as we know, the toughest media market to play in is expectations. Whether you're good, whether you're mid, or whether you suck, New York expectations will eat you alive. Not everybody's cut out for that. Let's see what's up with Daniel Jones.
Listen, I think his time is way overdue. They've basically been waiting for this guy to pop since Eli Manning retired, and nothing's come about. And I don't blame them too hard because they don't really have much of a receiving core. The team has kind of been a bit weird since the Eli Manning era. And let's face it, guys, that happens with every team once a great quarterback, the greatest of all time, and the franchise leaves the team, then they have these weird couple of years in where, it's hard for them to find a rhythm with a starting quarterback. So I think the Giants just need to move on from Daniel Jones and, perhaps look for another starting quarterback. We don't have any shortage of young QBs now in the league. So his time is definitely very limited with the Giants. If he can't make nothing happen this year, which I don't believe he's going to do anything, I think the most impactful X factor in the New York Giants organization is going to be Saquon Barkley. So, I think he's going to get his stats up, but I think Daniel Jones is going to underperform and he's going to find his way out. That's just plain and simple.
Speaking about that, I'm going to stay in the NFC East. I'm going to give you my next pick that's on the hot seat. Somebody that you may not and he's not young, but he's not old either. I'm going to go to the Dallas I'm gonna say Dak Prescott. I'm gonna say Dak Prescott on the hot seat because, as we all know, Jerry Jones is a man of expectations and bigger, and that man believes that the Super Bowl is his birthright. And year in, year out, what do the Cowboys do? They fail in spectacular fashion. I know
I
you
love to
guys
see the
like that shit.
Cowboys lose, baby.
I know you guys like that shit year in, year out. Seeing them
Yep.
So
fall
for
flat
for
on their
for those that
face.
are listening in that don't know, I mean, X is a Giants fan. I'm a Philly fan. My boy X over here. I mean, my boy Santana over here is a Dolphins fan. So it's a tremendous rivalry the entire season, and that definitely I would say I would like to say Dak is on the hot seat, but they just gave him a ton of money, and
That
and
don't matter.
Jerry Jones at least wants to get enough ticket sales out of him to make up for what he already spent. So they might keep him around, but I would say he's definitely in a hot seat for somebody else to come in and take over.
No, man, that don't matter. He's done. Like Jerry Jones don't believe in him like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's necessarily on the hot seat. I think I know what I'm going to get from him. I think I'm going to get 4,400 yards, about 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and he's going to just lose in the playoffs. That's just really what he is. I don't think like I think that's perfect for what Dallas wants. They just want to sell tickets, get some high scoring games. They want to see 40, even if they lose. They want to see 40 on the scoreboard, and they just want that scoreboard to be lit. It's more than winning. It's not just about winning. They want to look good. Even if they lose, they want to look good in style. And Dak Prescott, he's not on the hot seat. He is the hot seat. You know what I mean? Like he's just a pure hot seat player. Like that's just
they want to look. They want to look good in that 100-inch LED monitor hanging over AT&T Stadium.
exactly. He learned from Romo how to be that hot seat player. How to just put up stats and production. He puts up a ton of production, and then he just turns it off once it really counts. So
Once he gets that dinero,
yeah,
production goes down. It happens with every great athlete, guys, especially when they're on the Madden cover or magazine cover. They just do terrible, man. It's that curse.
see if another team makes a move for a Dak, and maybe the Cowboys get back into that quarterback market, like you guys said. So let's see if they want to get young, want to get fresh, and revamp some of that cap that they have on their team because they're paying a lot of guys.
No. So look, I'm glad you brought up Romo. I'm really glad you brought up Romo because why? What was Romo famous for? Choking in the playoffs. Losing in the playoffs. Great seasons. He had under his belt. Romo has multiple 10+ win regular seasons, but he's one and done in the playoffs a bunch of times. How long ago was 2016?
Long time ago.
6 years ago.
Man.
6 years ago. That is the last time Dak Prescott have won an NFL playoff game. That's a long time for a starting quarterback of that franchise, of that caliber. How you going to tell me he's not in the hot seat? Jerry Jones doesn't like one and dones. Jerry Jones likes winning. Jerry Jones likes legacy, deep playoff runs, rings, championships. Dak is not giving that to him. He's one and done, and the Cowboys have had good seasons, and they had good players around him. And it's not coming together. That is a man that I believe is my hot take for the hot seat this upcoming season.
All right, so with my next pick, I'm gonna go with Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he can go the distance with any team as at this point. He's an aging quarterback. It seems like he can put up great stats during the season, but as soon as he gets into the postseason, it's just like a circus show with him. And I believe that Tennessee is gonna keep him on a short leash this year. Like I said before, the NFL is not any shortage of QBs. Especially with the emerging leagues now coming up. I heard the Cowboys signed the USFL MVP, and that's pretty significant. He had a touchdown return kickoff the other day. And so, hey, man, there's no shortage of players now these days. So Ryan Tannehill, like I mentioned, he's aging, and I think he's just kind of like at the end of his rope. But he's definitely not the guy to take Tennessee the distance, and then Tennessee is looking like it's going back to rebuild mode. I only see Derrick Henry carrying the team as usual.
I agree, 1,000%. Did you hear his rant over Malik Willis, the quarterback that the Titans took in the draft? Took him high. Tannehill wasn't happy about that. Came out and flat out said, "My job is not to mentor the young guy." He's not happy about it, and he should be on the hot seat for that. I 1,000% agree with you on that. King Henry runs that team. Tannehill has shown last year he doubled his interceptions from the year before. So he basically proved that without Derrick Henry, he's a one-dimensional guy. And he's old. And you said that. He's an aging quarterback. Definitely on the hot seat.
Yeah, I believe he has. He might have some fire under him in regards to that Malik Willis situation. It's unfortunate because when he came in the league, I think he's one of those quarterbacks, man. He has a very unique situation in his whole career. It's like he came in, he didn't have a leader to show him the ropes almost, and then the whole Jonathan Martin situation spewed out of control with Richie.
Oh my God, that's right.
Quarterback, who allows that? You know what I mean? That I've never seen Peyton Manning, one of these great quarterbacks that has lasted. Even a quarterback that's gotten any max contract. They've all had their egos and they've all had their okay, we're gonna win this together. That type of machismo, that type of attitude. And Tannehill, like he's a weird type of leader because like he comes and goes almost. And now we all like you mentioned this. It is King Henry's team. But with now the departure of Julio, with the departure of A.J. Brown, with the departure of they had another that left, Sharp, I believe his name was, or they need to do something on that team where they're going to emphasize on Tannehill's strengths rather than his weaknesses, and he's really going to suffer in the passing department. They're going to have to run that ball this year because if teams are stacked 8 in the box and they're stopping that run, Tannehill's going to have a hard year this year, and we might see Malik Willis sooner rather than later.
Sooner.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, but if I get a next pick for a sleeper, I'll be going with Jameis. I think Jameis has one of those unique situations. We discussed about it earlier on the show. We were saying how he's one of those quarterbacks where he's not like a Baker, he's not like a Sam Darnold, he's not in that tier, he's not maybe at the bottom of the league, but he's someone that we do expect some type of production. We know he has some weapons on his team. We know he has that rookie. We know he has a Michael Thomas coming back. We know he has Kamara, and he needs to pick up on that production that he had in Tampa and just minimize those turnovers. If he can bring those turnovers down and just be solid, they have a great defense and just try to be more of a game manager. We know he can sling it out, but save that for when you need to do that and really just keep the games close. And if he can do that job, I think he could get a max contract. He's on the second year of his 2-year, $28 million deal he signed with New Orleans.
Ooh, yeah.
He could be in for a big payday, and if he gets some good production going, even if he has some average seasons, he can get some payday because he's still a young quarterback in my eyes. If we're paying 45,
I agree with you.
Yeah, if we're trading for 44-year-old quarterbacks, his value got to be high still.
I would agree with you only if he can produce. I think the days of him even scrambling a little bit are over after his major knee injury.
Oh, but he's never been a scrambler. Never.
But he could run the ball. He's been able to run the ball before. I'm saying that he's going to be more of a pocket, quarterback as opposed to previous years. But I think if he can keep his interceptions low and maybe Michael Thomas can stay healthy, then they can go the distance as far as doing pretty well or having a winning season. I am very insecure about Michael Thomas being able to stay healthy. I just read a report maybe a day or two ago about him having hamstring issues. So the only person that can really make him look good is Alvin Kamara. And as I mentioned, if he can keep the interceptions low, I think he can get a decent deal. I don't think he's ever going to be a max contract caliber type of quarterback. I think he's hanging on by a thread, and New Orleans is the second chance that he has after Tampa Bay. It's the true second chance. You know what I mean? Because this guy has thrown a ton of interceptions, and it hasn't made him look good. And as I mentioned, there's no shortage of quarterbacks, guys. So he could very well be on his way out. I think they're gonna give him maybe a 3-4 year deal. He's gonna get some good guaranteed money with that, and hopefully it works out. I'm looking to see the second part of Jameis.
Man, I mean, yeah, it should be 50. He's a wild card. He's a wild card, but he's produced. He's definitely produced. And now comes my next take, and it hurts me to say, but Tua Tagovailoa is on the hot seat. And yeah, I have to talk about it. I really have to talk about it. A lot of people don't probably wouldn't agree with me, especially if you're a Dolphin fan, but fact of the matter is, this is a quarterback coming into his third year, a top 5 pick, who could have gone number 1 overall had it wasn't for that injury. But in his first 2 seasons, it's been up and down, right? We haven't had the best support or anything like that. Everyone's known that. Everyone around the league, makes a punchline out of the Dolphins. Their running game, their offensive line, practically non-existent. But shit is different this year. Very different. The Dolphins went out and up and beyond to make sure that we bring talent to Miami. We took the Saints all-pro tackle, left tackle, Armand Armstead. We took him here. We brought him here. We took the Cowboys all-pro right guard, Williams, and we have him here. We also have 2 other first-round picks that we took in ourselves last year on that offensive line. All in all, there's 4 first-round picks on that line. 4. Then you bring in Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys, their third receiver, to be our slot guy here. Then they get Tyreek Hill, which hasn't really hit me, but he is one of the best receivers in the game. Then you got emerging Jalen Waddle, who prior to Hill was wide receiver 1. And after the reports of the joint practice that the Dolphins had with the Bucks, mind you, the Bucks have 3 cornerbacks that have been to the Pro Bowl at some point currently or in their career. 3. All of them have been in the league for 5 years or less. So they're young, they're strong, and they're smart. Yet they said that joint practice showed them that no other wide receiver tandem in the league can do what Waddle and Hill are going to do this upcoming season. So the reports, the hype is there behind Tua Tagovailoa, who finally has talent around him. And I dare say that he may be in the hottest seats of all the QBs in the league. Because everybody knows that the Dolphins are highly improved because of the media and the spotlight that we're under after getting Tyreek Hill from Patrick Mahomes. We're expected to produce, at least make the playoffs. So if Tua cannot prove any of that or lead us into that promised land that is the playoffs, it's looking like we might go elsewhere. And I believe in Tua. I hope he shows everybody out. I believe that we're going to get Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Saban Tua this year. But if he doesn't produce or show out, it's a one-way ticket out of Miami.
Yeah, I think the one thing that makes it the hot seat is the fact that Justin Herbert was right there just waiting in the wings. He was just the next quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and he was going to be perfect. But they went elsewhere. They went for Tua. They thought he had more talent. They thought he was going to be more evasive, and it looks like he doesn't have the arm they originally thought he has. Let's see now. Like you mentioned, they do have a bunch of new blockers. They have some new weapons they can utilize. And let's see how Tua is going to use everything to his advantage. Let's see if he can be a slinger rather than just, playing the option style of a quarterback,
Check down. Yeah. Check down quarterback. That's what he was last year.
Listen, the fact of the matter is the Dolphins should have gotten rid of Tua Tagovailoa. All right. Ooh. I'm in love with his receiving core. Right now. I think the Dolphins have the best team they've had in recent years. I just have no faith in this guy. I mean, I barely have any trust in left-handed quarterbacks. And we all know there's only 2 left-handed quarterbacks you can trust, and that's Steve Young and Michael Vick. And I don't think this guy has what it takes to go the distance. You know what I mean? I do think that, just to be fair, they got to give him a shot for this season to see what he has. Brand new coaching system, brand new receivers. If he blows up this year, I think he can keep his job. But if it's somewhere around halfway point through the season, and the Dolphins are not doing very well, then I think they're in great position to get rid of him and perhaps relocate him. I do think he could possibly be a good starter on a lower tier team, like maybe the Texans or maybe Seattle. Or maybe Detroit. I would also throw in a bonus in there and would say that Jared Goff has to look over his shoulder as well in a situation in Detroit, and his overall situation in the NFL might be the last time he could be a starter.
It might be. If he doesn't come through this year with everything around him, it might just be, man. It really might just be. Mike McDaniel is hailed as an offensive genius and / quarterback guru. Let's see how this goes, man. But Tua's definitely on the hot seat. Let's see how we'll talk about him at the end of the season.
Yeah, even midway through the season. Midway is going to show us a lot. It's going to answer a lot of our questions. Some guys are going to get hurt. Some guys are going to overperform. A lot are going to underperform. And that's just how it goes every season. We're in for a lot of, it's like a roller coaster ride. We're in for a lot of surprises, a lot of, we already knew that type of vibe. And, these players, a lot of them don't change, from year 4 to 5. Like, if they're that guy, they're going to be that guy from day one mostly. And, I think there is a shortage of quarterbacks. There's not quarterbacks growing on trees. Like, these guys are talented guys. It's hard to find one. And if you're in the quarterback market, you got to be 100% in the market, and you got to be committed to having a bad year. Because if you have a guy like, he's a professional, you're paying him money, and, you want him to believe that you're on his side. You don't want to have like a situation in San Francisco where you're drafting the quarterback 3rd overall and you're still paying a guy. You know what I mean?
So $125 million.
Yeah, it makes it a sticky situation. So, you want to make sure that the guy you have taking your snaps is the guy that you have trust and you believe in this guy, whether he's young or old.
Let's do a quick fire round. Someone bring up the Dolphins schedule. Let's call out the wins and losses. For bias reasons, I'm going to sit this one out.
All right. Look, let's look at the Dolphins games. They're playing the Patriots twice. They're playing the Ravens. They play the Bills twice, of course. Then they play the Bengals. Then you play. It goes Patriots, Ravens, Bills.
WLL.
To start the season.
Yes. Bengals, Jets.
Ooh.
W.
Doug.
Vikings.
L.
W.
Steelers.
What?
W.
Lions.
W.
Bears.
W.
Okay. What about Browns, Texans, Niners?
Where do we play the Browns?
Here.
W.
What week? Wait. What week is that? Is that the DeShawn week or
brother?
Oh yeah, if it's with Jacoby Brissett, W.
L against the Niners.
It's looking like week 10.
Oh, Justin, close but no cigar. We haven't beat the Bills in 2.5 years, so I can't speak on that. It looks like it seems like they have our number. Hopefully, it changes this year, but add 2 L's from the Bills, because the track record shows otherwise.
No, let's say at best, let's say best case scenario. Let's say they split the Bills and the Patriots, right? Let's say they split that, and let's say they beat the Jets once. Let's say they win 3 out of the games, right? That'll be good case. Let's just put those 6 games in one pot and just hope you win 3 of those games. Let's say you got 3-3 in the division. Then you got the Ravens, Bengals, Vikings. Those are tough games. But let's say you lose those 3. But let's say you could beat the Steelers, Texans, and the Browns without DeShawn. It's week 10.
Okay.
So let's say you're 6-6 now. Right? Now you play the Bears. You play.
It's a W, bro. I mean, we're looking good.
Okay, you play the Packers, the Chargers, and the Niners.
We play. Okay, look. Tua has beaten the Chargers. He's 2-0 versus the Chargers in his career. He hasn't lost against Justin Herbert. Tua has yet to lose to the Patriots. We swept the Patriots last year and the year before, and the Jets too. We just haven't beaten the Bills in 3 years. Our division is, I don't want to say ours to lose because it belongs to the Bills. As of now, they are that team. I feel like they surpassed the Patriots. But Tua has yet to lose to Mac Jones. We demolished the Ravens, which was a surprise to me. We were 1-6 going into that Thursday night game last year, where we had Lamar Jackson running for his life when we played that zero cover defense. So that's a toss up to me. That's just coming as a Dolphin fan, which is why I'm trying to stay out of this, wildfire pick. But I feel like our trap game is that Browns game because Myles Garrett and that line, they're no joke. That's tough, and our O-line is unproven. So my worry is against teams that have great defensive lines. The Packers game is a Christmas game at Lambeau. No, I'm lying. It's over here, right? Double check that for me. Where do we play the Packers?
Play the Packers in Miami on Christmas.
Ooh.
That's a possible W, man. It's not the same Packers team.
It's not. But Aaron Rodgers is still A-Rod. I'm very scared of him.
I see them going 8-9 or 7-10.
And then he's gone. He's gone. If that's what we get, then Tua's gone.
Yeah, and that's at best because you look at these teams. At least right now, everyone healthy. Everyone healthy. We know there's going to be some injuries. However, early outlook. You're playing the Bengals. You're playing the Steelers, the Vikings. And then, your easy games are the Lions, Texans, Browns. But then you still got the Chargers, Packers, Niners. You have some easy games, but then you have some really tough games. And that's why I think they'll be around 500, if not right below 500.
And that's assuming everybody can stay healthy because if they start to tumble in the beginning, that record can, be much larger.
Yeah, I see them 8-9. I see them, 7-10, something like that. Maybe at best 9-8, trying to make a playoff push. There's some close teams there.
If that's the case, fellas, then Tua might see a Black Monday.
All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our show here. Next week, we'll be discussing fantasy football leagues, and we'll be having a very special guest in the house as we prep for our own live draft on September 3rd, and we're having a draft lottery on the 1st, as a matter of fact, live on IG. So make sure you guys join us. We'll be dropping the fantasy league episode where we'll be discussing everything fantasy football leagues, and it should be very fun and very inclusive. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, hit the like button, reach us out on IG at Raw Fantasy Sports. I'm your host, Jerry, my co-host, Bolton Santana, and X. See you next time, guys.
Take care.
Easy.